wins at Anaheim. They beat the Angels 9-0 and 6-1. And they were off yesterday, and Joe Maddon's crew comes in here having won 11 straight road games, Bob, dating back to last year.
Yeah, Joe Maddon, a perfect fit for this Cubs team. A lot of young players, a couple of veterans mixed in there, but just a very relaxed atmosphere for these guys with the high expectations this season. Here's how Joe will line them up tonight. Dexter Fowler in center field leading it off. Jason Hayward, an offseason addition, out in right field. Ben Zobrist also came over in the offseason. He'll be at second base. Anthony Rizzo, we talked about in the open, will be at first base. Chris Bryant, with 26 homers last season, was the National League Rookie of the Year. Kyle Schwarber out in left field. Miguel Montero, good to see the former D-back back in town. He'll be behind the plate. Addison Russell at shortstop, and the veteran John Lackey, another offseason acquisition, on the mound, making his first start for the Cubs.
And for more on the Cubs, let's go downstairs to Kate. Kate.
Well, guys, Chip obviously recognizes the talent level the Cubs have, but he believes the key to success for them is that they're out there having fun. He says you see it in their play. They're out there enjoying each other. And Hale told me that's been his message to this 2016 ball club. He wants them to go out there, let go of expectations, and really just enjoy the game. He told me that victories will follow if this team is out there having fun and just playing the game, quote, correctly.
Your Arizona Ford starting pitcher tonight, Ruby De La Rosa, a breakthrough season last year. His first with the Diamondbacks. Career highs for Ruby. 14 wins, 32 starts, just under 189 innings and 150 strikeouts. Really one of the up-and-coming power right-handers in the National League West.
Very respectable season for Ruby De La Rosa last season, but everybody around baseball is still waiting for that breakthrough season when he finally becomes the guy that everybody thinks he can be.
Diamondbacks defensively, it's our Eye on Defense, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
You see Chris Owings out in center field again tonight. He'll be flanked by Yasmani Tomas in left, David Peralta in right. It'll be Lamb and Ahmed once again on the left side of the infield. Segura and Goldschmidt once again on the right side. Former Cub Wellington Castillo doing the catching for right-hander Ruby De La Rosa.
A personal favorite, Adrian Johnson, our plate umpire. Adrian leaves little doubt whether it's a ball or a strike, and we are set to go first to 4 Diamondbacks. And the Cubs, Dexter Fowler, 5 hits and 8 at bats in their 2 wins over the Angels, leads it off, and there's strike 1. Fowler so far has doubled and homered. Ruby jumps ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. Fowler, a critical bat, Bob, for the Cubs, back for another year. He's already scored 4 runs in 2 games.
Absolutely. There was some question whether Dexter Fowler was going to be back, and Theo Epstein surprised the entire ball club in spring training when they kind of signed him on the sly and brought him into camp as the new guy, but returning to the position he played so well for them last year. I like the Ruby De La Rosa pounding him inside right here. You'll watch Fowler. He stands close to the plate to begin with and really dives in there with that front foot.
That will be critical tonight. Fowler, a switch hitter, batting from the left-hand side. He drives this one to Chris Owings in center field. 1 away. Time now for your Valley Honda keys to the game.
Well, this can work both ways. We went with the key to the game tonight. Don't buy the hype. Either way. Chip Hale was a little upset about the local media, you know, maybe playing up Zach Greinke's opening day start a little bit too much, and certainly nobody can have more hype than Joe Maddon and the Cubs this year, and both teams just need to go out and play the game.
It's always nice when we can work Chuck D and Flava Flav into the Honda keys to the game. Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward in the offseason got 8 years, $184 million. Came over from St. Louis. And it was a great year for Hayward last year with the Cardinals. Career highs in batting average, doubles, hits, stolen bases. He also won his 3rd Gold Glove in 4 years. A high bouncer to Segura from the edge of the outfield grass. 2 down.
Yeah, we heard Kate talking about Chip Hale and wants the team to watch the Cubs and how they go about their business. They have fun playing the game. That's the old chicken and the egg, though. What comes first, winning or having fun? I mean, if all it took was having fun, you get a whole team full of stand-up comedians and you'd win the World Series every year. you know, you have to approach it with the right attitude, be serious about your work, but have fun with your teammates, have fun with the game.
Ben Zobrist. Zobrist 4 hits and 9 at bats to start his Cubs career, all singles. And he's here in a 4-year, $56 million free agent deal. They spent some money this winter. They brought in Hayward, Zobrist, and John Lackey, who's about to make his Cubs debut. Sky high pop up behind shortstop for Ahmed. Good start for Ruby De La Rosa. 3 up and 3 down. It's Throwback Thursday here at Chase. To be reckoned with, but also show how they match up with a team that was a postseason club last year and is a big favorite again this year.
Absolutely. Always good to see how you measure up against a team that everybody's picking to win the World Series. Here's how Chip lines them up tonight. Gene Segura leading off at second base. We mentioned Nick Ahmed moving up into the 2-hole was 6 for 11 with a home run in that series against the Rockies. Goldie in the 3 spot. David Peralta out in right field. Wellington Castillo doing the catching. Jake Lamb at third. Yasmani Tomas in left. Chris Owings in center. And Ruby De La Rosa on the mound.
Gene Segura jumps on the first one, lifts it back deep to right field, and that ball is gone. One pitch in. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks. Second of the year for Gene Segura. So John Lackey's very first pitch as a Chicago Cub is a Gene Segura home run.
How about that? Well, no surprise that Gene Segura swings at the first pitch. A little bit of a surprise that John Lackey threw him a high fastball up and out over the plate. Good opposite field power there. Another jumbo jack to the opposite field this time.
That's why they don't want Gene Segura up there trying to work counts and see pitches. He's an aggressive hitter and they want to turn him loose. So Lackey down 1-0. Here's Nick Ahmed. Lackey is your Arizona Ford starter for the Cubs. At the age of 37, got a 2-year, $32 million deal in December. And as you see, had a very nice season in St. Louis last year. 33 starts, went 13-10, and had a 2.77 ERA, which was 7th best in the National League.
And mostly does it with fastballs. He'll throw a cutter, he'll throw a sinker, he'll throw a four-seamer. Mix in an occasional breaking ball, an occasional changeup, but he's basically a power pitcher.
He's one of these guys that just pounds away at the strike zone as best he can. He will occasionally get hit, but he rarely walks anyone. So a change, as Bob mentioned at the top of the show, for Nick Ahmed here. He was in the 2-hole after an excellent start to the season. 6 hits and 11 at-bats, including a double and a home run. Nick homered here yesterday against the Rockies. Maybe it's purple. The team in purple here will hit home runs.
I think that's the case.
Nick waves at that one. First down for Lackey. Take a look at the Cubs defensively. Our eye on defense brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
Jason Hayward over in right field. Gold glove defender out there. Dexter Fowler in center. Kyle Schwarber in left field. It'll be Chris Bryant and Addison Russell on the left side of the infield with Ben Zobrist and Anthony Rizzo on the right side. Miguel Montero behind the dish for right-hander John Lackey.
Here's Goldie. Big cut at the first offering from Lackey. It's 0-1. Goldie 2 hits and 10 at-bats, including a home run Tuesday night onto the concourse in right center. .321 last year.
I think the fact, well, Gene Segura almost always swings at the first pitch if it's near the strike zone, but the fact that Goldie swung at the first pitch tells me the Diamondbacks are well aware of John Lackey's history of being a strike thrower. They're going to be aggressive against the guy that's usually in the zone.
He does not walk batters. He just keeps coming at you with what even he will admit is a pretty consistent delivery that gives him a chance to throw a lot of strikes. And Lackey will tell you there's no secret formula. He's not out there trying to trick anybody. And rarely even bothers throwing something that's not a fastball. Last year, nearly 70% of everything he threw was a fastball. A lot of four-seamers and some two-seam sinkers. Goldie Goldie's been taking his cuts so far this year. 10 at bats. He struck out 5 times, half the time he's been up there. So he's up there swinging this year. He's off there, and it's full 3-2. David Peralta on deck. He'll be next. Goldie has tortured the Chicago Cubs in his career. He is a .371 hitter against Chicago, including 7 home runs. And in 24 games against the Cubs, he's got 24 RBIs. That's production right there. Close, but he doesn't bite. A 1-out walk.
Well, a lot of Goldie's damage that he's done against the Cubs in his career has come right here at Chase Field, a .415 batting average. Tries to go backdoor sinker right there, misses just off the plate. 6 homers among 10 extra base hits in this ballpark against the Cubs.
David Peralta. Wonder how many Little League kids all over Arizona are doing the freight train move with a lean back and the hand on the mouth. 0-1 the count. David 5 hits in 14 at bats to start the year. When I was a kid, everybody did the Joe Morgan chicken wing.
Yeah, the chicken wing.
Every Little League kid my age did that at least once. One and one.
I was thinking about Goldie over there at first base, and we know he can steal a base, especially if you get a pitcher that doesn't pay a lot of attention to him. But you have to believe the Cubs have a real good scouting report from the guy squatting behind the plate right now. Miggy knows this Diamondbacks team about as well as anybody, what they can and cannot do.
Goldie holds. Peralta knocks it foul. 1-2 now.
And Lackey does unload the ball fairly quickly to home plate, so unless you get a really good jump, you might have to go station to station, at least at the beginning of the game. I think the Cubs should sign Clark Griswold to play second base. You could have Addison and Clark out there in the middle infield.
Right at the confluence. That's a fair ball. Here comes Goldie. Schwarber plays it in the corner. Matt Williams stops him at third, and the freight train is in at second with a double, his second this year.
Well, we saw this approach from David in spring training. Got that front foot down, let the ball get deep into the zone, and then hit it with authority down into that left field corner, where it could be an adventure tonight. Kyle Schwarber, he's not in there for his glove. He's worked very hard at improving as a left fielder, but it's all about that bat.
He's a catcher by trade, so a big chance here for the Diamondbacks. Second and third. 1 out, and here is the former Cub. He was a Cub at this time last year. It's Wellington Castillo. First pitch swinging, pops it up. Miggy, Rizzo calls him off. Oh, another case in point, Bob. They're up there hunting fastballs.
Well, we mentioned in yesterday's ball game. I just think Wellington Castillo is swinging a little bit big right now. I mean, he knows that the team is counting on him to provide some punch in that offense, and I think he's just trying a little bit too hard to lift the ball in the air to the outfield.
Well, Lackey, I think, would consider himself fortunate to get out of this with just the 1 run. 2 down now for Jake Lamb. Goldie at third, Peralta at second. And Jake 2 for 11 at the plate to start his season. There's a strike, 0-1. He has doubled and homered. He's also walked twice. You can be sure that this Cubs lineup is going to get there. So when you have an opportunity to put a crooked number up there, you've almost got to take advantage.
You better cash him in every opportunity you get. This is I talked to Len Casper, their fine TV play-by-play guy, a former partner of mine, and he said we are an American League offensive ball club. They liked having the DH in Anaheim to open the season.
They just mash the ball. Jake Lamb down 0-2. High chopper over the mound, and that rolls into center. Goldie scores. Here comes Peralta. A 2-run single for Jake Lamb, and it's a 3-run. D-backs first. That's a huge hit right there.
A 2-out RBI is just absolutely crush an opposing team. And you'll notice the Cubs playing everybody defensively straight up. We've seen teams play pull shifts for David Peralta, for Jake Lamb, but that time the Cubs playing straight up defensively, and Jake found that hole up the middle of the field where the shortstop normally is standing.
Boy, to put a 3-spot up in the first against these guys is enormous. Yasmani Tomas now. Segura started it off with a homer. Goldie walked, Peralta doubled, Lamb singled. 3-0 Diamondbacks. Now Tomas. 3 hits in his first 7 at-bats, including 2 doubles. He drives this one toward Fowler and right, but it'll stay in the park. Or Hayward, pardon me. Gene Segura got it started. The first pitch of the ball game is gone for a home run. Lamb follows. It's 3-0 Diamondbacks. A Star Wars soft style t-shirt, and over Memorial Day weekend giving away pool bags and barbecue aprons. See the full giveaway schedule online at dbacks.com. Here's Rizzo. Ruby De La Rosa had a 1-2-3 first, take to a 3-0 lead, and trying to put up what we have referred to as the shutdown inning. Keep it 3-0 here. Rizzo with a pair of hits in the Cubs series at Anaheim, including a home run, and the shift is on. Ruby keeps pounding inside against that left-hand hitter. That's what they're looking for, and he's ahead 1-2. Well, that's what Anthony Rizzo does. He crowds the plate, stands right on top of it, and last year led the majors in getting hit by pitches. He was hit 30 times, 6 more times than any other player in baseball.
Now you can see how close he is to the plate. His toes are right on the inside line of that batter's box, and Ruby tries to run one more fastball inside, and Rizzo takes it, heads on down to first base.
Chris Bryant, last season's National League Rookie of the Year.
They're comparing bruises. Goldie said, yeah, I took one right here last night. Yeah, for Rizzo, that's his throwing arm, however. Looked like he was pointing to his left forearm.
That would make me nervous, as important as Anthony Rizzo is to the Cubs.
Boom, right there.
And his hands and wrists and fingers are exposed right there out over the plate. Bryant hammers it into the left field corner. Tomas plays it off the bullpen wall, and it's a double for Bryant.
Bryant with a violent line drive down that left field line, a 95-mile-an-hour heater on the inside corner. He's able to keep it fair down there. Nice play by Tomas just to field it cleanly, get it back into the cutoff man. Rizzo broke his stride there coming around second base. Had no chance to score on that ball anyway, but
Cubs have a threat going here. Second and third, nobody out for big Kyle Schwarber, another powerful left-hand bat in this lineup tonight against Ruby. The 4th overall pick in the draft just 2 years ago. And the Cubs will find spots for this bat. He drove in 43 runs in 69 games last year. And he just turned 23. Rizzo, that hand looks like it still hurts. Schwarber 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts in his only game in Anaheim. That's where the Cubs open up their season with 2 games against the Angels. They won 9-0 and 6-1, and they were off yesterday. Big cut at that one. Last time Chicago won 3 straight road games to open up the season was 1988. They had wins in Atlanta and Montreal. The Hawk. He was an Expo and a Cub. 1-2 on Schwarber. Schwarber last season came up to the big leagues for the first time in the middle of June. Hit his first career home run in his 3rd game, and by the end of the summer he was one of their big offensive contributors. 13 homers and 31 RBIs in the final 2 months of last year. Foul right by Brandon Hyde, the first base coach, and Fred Bauer's on that one. There's Fred wearing his purple today. Our Golden Glover down the right field line, and James Tolar is ready to go in left.
We got to do something about getting the guys a purple helmet on Throwback Thursdays. We're all about fashion here.
Well, join the evolution. Again, trying to keep it down and into those lefties, but he missed it. It's 3-2. Big innings can happen quickly against this team. Miggy on deck.
That little cat and mouse game. Who's going to control the at bat here on the 3-2 pitch? Schwarber just stood in that batter's box waiting for Ruby De La Rosa to get his sign. Took him a little while. Once he settled on the pitch he wanted to throw, went up into the set position. Schwarber called timeout.
From Middletown, Ohio, played at Indiana University. He's a Hoosier. Their 1st round pick 2 years ago, the 4th overall selection. Another 3-2 pitch. Ball 4, the bases are loaded with no outs, and here comes Miguel Montero. Mike Butcher. Well, we talked about the importance of the shutdown inning, and Ruby is going to need a miracle to keep a goose egg up there at this point. Bases full of Cubs, nobody out. 10 seconds on the clock. Adrian Johnson will start his stroll from the plate to break this up. Get there just about the time the clock expires, which is right now.
I would imagine that pitching coaches are going to have a little bit of leeway in the early part of the season, and umpires are going to give them a little bit of wiggle room, especially in a tough situation like this. But as the season progresses, I think they're going to get pretty strict about that 30-second rule.
Rizzo at third, Bryant at second, Schwarber at first. Miguel Montero 2 for 5 with a home run already to start the year. There's ball 1. Miggy hit .248 his first year as a Cub last season following his trade from the Diamondbacks. 15 homers. He knocked in 53.
Wait to see that first swing to decide which Miguel Montero was here tonight. As Diamondback fans are well aware, he gets into stages of the season where he is looking to hit the ball off the out-of-town scoreboard in right field every swing. When he's right and he keeps that front shoulder in there and drives that ball to the gap in left center to the gap in right center, that's when he's the most dangerous. I think he's going for the out-of-town scoreboard.
Well, for once, that's a good thing. Good location again for Ruby right there. He could somehow get a strikeout and a ground ball. Ooh, skip on out of here. Miggy had a very good spring with the Cubs. He hit almost .390 in the Cactus League. 4 doubles, a couple of home runs.
I noticed Ruby De La Rosa warming up down that left field bullpen today. He was throwing a lot of cut fastballs. We talked about his problems against left-handed hitters, that fastball straying back out over the plate when he tries to go inside. If he could come up with a cut fastball that stays on that inside part of the plate or farther into the lefties, that'd be a great weapon for him.
Got him. A big strikeout, out number 1 for Ruby.
Speed up a hitter's bat with a bunch of fastballs and then get him with a straight changeup at 90 miles an hour. Of course, when you throw 97, 90 is a real good changeup.
Well, Ruby says he feels very confident right now. Everything he says is working. The fastballs, the slider, the changeup, the cutter. And he feels like he can throw any one of those pitches for a strike in any count, and he'll need to here. Addison Russell. On. Russell looking for his first base hit this year. He was 0 for 7 with 3 strikeouts in their 2 games in Anaheim. 22-year-old shortstop. He led the Cubs this spring with 6 home runs. So there's more power there than you probably think or realize. Oh, you take a ground ball right here. That one's up the middle, however. Rizzo scores. They'll wave Bryant. 2-run single for Russell. He shoots one into center, and it's 3-2.
Cut fastball that time didn't quite get out to the outside corner where he wanted it. Russell gets enough of it to shoot it back up the middle of the field. Well, we talked about it in that Rocky series about a lineup that just doesn't give you any breathing room. And certainly the Cubs fit that description as well, right down to the number 8 hitter Addison Russell. These guys swing the bats.
So 2 runs are in, still just 1 out. Schwarber is at second, Russell at first, And here's the pitcher, John Lackey. Goldie sneaking in from first. Lamb on the grass at third.
A little hiccup there. I'm not sure if that was a designed play for Ruby to step off and hope that Schwarber kept leading off second base. These bunt defense plays with runners at first and second in an obvious bunting situation, which this is with John Lackey at the plate. There's a certain timing that has to be adhered to in order for the play to work. That time Nick Ahmed was breaking toward third base as Ruby stepped off the rubber.
Sneaking in there behind Kyle Schwarber, and there he goes again. That's in their first strike.
On certain defensive plays, Jake Lamb will charge from third, and Nick would keep going and cover third. Try to get that lead runner at third base, but you could see on that play he started breaking to third and then stopped. It's a decoy of the wheel play.
Wheel play is when you leave second base unoccupied, right?
You want to get the out at third, absolutely.
It's a foul ball, says Adrian Johnson. That's a strike, and it's 0-2.
And this would appear to be a good situation for the wheel play because you've got a slow runner at second base in Kyle Schwarber. You've got a slow runner at the plate. You could possibly turn it into a double play. Wellington Castillo out of the chute quickly there, but in the estimation of Adrian Gonzalez, that was a foul ball. Now, there's another bunt defense play where you actually try to go for the double play when you have a slow runner at first and a slow runner at the plate. It's kind of a reverse wheel play.
Waves at that one with 2 strikes. Ruby has his second strikeout and his second out here in the second inning. And now here's the leadoff man, Dexter Fowler.
Center field, Dexter Fowler.
Fowler flying out to center his first time up. Fowler, a switch hitter, best from the right-hand side. That's where he hit .326 last year. But he can be equally dangerous because most of his power comes as a left-hand hitter.
A little more of a free swinger from the left side of the plate, more of a contact hitter from the right side.
13 of his 17 home runs last season came batting left-handed. Gene Segura. Well, Ruby had the bases loaded. The Cubs get 2 across, and the Diamondbacks 2, and Chris Owings leads it off against John Lackey. Already had a ton of action here. First of 4 against the Cubs. CO 3 for 11, a pair of RBIs to start the year. Back out in center field tonight, even against the right-hand pitcher John Lackey. Lifted out to Hayward, the Gold Glover. Chip Hale told us today he felt like tomorrow's Cubs starter, Jason Hamill, is a little better matchup for Socrates Brito. So he likes CO tonight against Lackey better. And that's the way he's going to handle the center field mix, he told us. It's going to be based on pitcher-hitter matchups. It is not right-left. It is, in fact, he made a point to say this, it is not a platoon. Ruby De La Rosa, who bats 9th tonight.
You know, some guys just match up better, even if it's their own side, righty against righty, lefty against lefty, depending on what that pitcher features out there on the mound and the kind of swing you're talking about at the plate. Sometimes you like the righty on righty matchup.
He also said he wants to get CO some time in the infield. He hasn't forgotten that he's essentially an infielder. And hopefully later in the series they'll do that. So Brito would play center there as well. As Ruby strikes out, second strikeout for Lackey.
We'll bring up Gene Segura, who homered in his first at bat. And fans, you know what that means. A D-backs home run tonight means a free jumbo jack tomorrow at participating Jack-in-the-Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
Well, Segura, the second leadoff homer of his career. He hit one last June for the Brewers against the Twins. That was at Target Field. The first pitch of Lackey's Cubs career was a Segura homer. And Gene became the 6th Diamondback leadoff hitter to hit a home run on the first pitch of the club's first at bat. And from Patrick Kurish here at the Diamondback staff, 2-0 now. Bring one. You will know how Lackey's doing based on his expressions.
Oh, he'll let you know.
Yeah, he's not shy. Left center, Schwarber. This could be trouble. Got to get over there. And it drops in. He collides with Fowler. And Segura's flying around the bases. Matt Williams will wave him in. Here comes Gene Segura. And he is safe. And Schwarber is hurt on the warning track. Trainers are running out there. He collided with Dexter Fowler. And Segura's shaken up as well. Kyle Schwarber is down.
Well, you could almost see that coming. That ball just tailing away from Schwarber as he was running full speed into that gap in left center. Dexter Fowler coming over from center field.
You can see the dirt on Schwarber's face. He went down hard. Deepest part of the ballpark, left center here at Chase. One more look.
Both guys running at full speed. Both guys thought they had a chance to make the play. It looked like the left leg took the brunt of the contact there. Schwarber still has his wherewithal to try to reach out and grab that ball as it was rolling away.
Dexter Fowler is a big man, 6'5", 195, almost at full speed. And he collided with Schwarber out there. Kyle Schwarber, we mentioned, drafted as a catcher. He is a catcher by trade. He did make 15 starts behind the plate for the Cubs last year, but started twice as many games as that in left field. They have found a spot for his bat, so he is a catcher learning to play the outfield.
Joe Madden has a little bit of a short bench as far as position players go. He has David Ross as backup catcher, Tommy La Stella backup infielder, and two guys that can play outfield, Jorge Soler and Matt Caesar, should Schwarber be unable to continue.
Worked out to be just a roll block inadvertently by Fowler there. And they are working on that ankle.
It looked like they checked his quad or his knee first and now have moved down to the ankle.
That left leg. It scored an inside the park home run for Gene Segura, his second homer of the ball game, but they're going to get a card out there for Schwarber.
Yeah, I think that's a wise choice. You can see he can't put any weight on that left leg.
And he's a long way from the dugout right now, and here it comes. This is a big ballpark. 23-year-old Kyle Schwarber.
The good news is for Gene Segura, that's his second 2-homer game in his career. The last one came at Coors Field in Colorado a couple of years ago, and his first inside the park home run.
John Lackey with some warm-up tosses on the mound while they try and get Schwarber some medical attention.
I think Joe Madden is going to bring Tommy LaStella, the infielder, into the game and move Chris Bryant to left.
Bryant played some left field last year. There was talk they might move him to the outfield full time, but you're right, LaStella comes in now, and it looks like Bryant will head out to left field. So we certainly wish the best of Kyle Schwarber, and hopefully it's not as bad as it looked there. So LaStella takes over at third, and Bryant moves out to left. Let's take a look now at Gene Segura. His trip around the bases.
Didn't really shift it into high gear until halfway between first and second when he saw that ball get away from the two Cubs outfielders. Still scores easily at home plate.
A little bit of an awkward landing for Gene, too. So it's 4-2 D-backs. A run is in, 2 outs, and Nick Ahmed, the hitter.
A rare breaking ball that time, the slow curve, as you see Chris Bryant taking over for Schwarber in left field. And Tommy LaStella at third base, replacing Bryant.
0-2 on Nick, who struck out his first time up against Lackey.
And Nick had to kind of reevaluate right there. We talked about Lackey throwing fastballs 70% of the time last year. 2 slow breaking balls to start this sequence.
And Ahmed strikes out for the second time, but Gene Segura has his second home run, an inside the park job. And as we head to the third, the Diamondbacks lead the Cubs 4-2. Hayward grounded out his first time up. Ruby throwing strikes. He's been ahead in the count most of the time so far. Oh, 0-2. Ruby worked hard in the offseason. He showed up at spring training 22 pounds lighter than he was last year, and he was noticeably thinner. Tried to put his body in good position and be in good shape, he said. Feels a lot better. Looking for more consistency this year. But toward the end of spring training, he was making a few too many location mistakes. He had some rough Cactus League starts. And he's got a clean slate here to start 2016. That one misses away, and it's 2-2. In his final 3 spring training starts, Ruby allowed a total of 24 hits and 14 earned runs in about 16 innings. Trying to put that behind him. To the gap in right center. Peralta cuts it off and holds Jason Hayward to a leadoff single. Nice job there by David to get to that one.
Hopefully that'll be a big play in the inning. We've seen David Peralta in right field and Yasmani Tomas in left field take extra bases away at least 3 times already this year, just by hustling over to the spot, get to the ball quickly and get it back in before that runner can advance to second base.
Ben Zobrist popped up in his first at bat. Close at first, but Hayward is back in time. So Ruby immediately goes back into the stretch here to start the third. Ball one. Zobrist, always a valuable guy for Joe Madden. They were together 9 seasons in Tampa Bay. And he proved more valuable than ever for Ned Yost last year when he won a World Series ring in Kansas City after his trade from Oakland at the deadline last July.
I think Ben Zobrist is finally where he should have been all along in the National League. What a valuable piece for a manager to have a guy that can play all over the field, hit from both sides of the plate. By all reports, a great teammate. You don't lose anything defensively no matter where you put him on the field.
Sure made a big difference. He was one of their most consistent bats in the postseason for the Royals last year. Playing some outfield and second base. A ball and a strike. Really keeping an eye on Hayward down there. Two and one. Zobrist, very consistent hitter, Bob, in October. He hit over .330 in the Royals division series win against the Astros, and then .320 in the ALCS. They beat the Blue Jays. He had 3 doubles and 2 homers in that series, and then doubled 4 times in 5 games in the World Series in their win over the Mets. A lot of big hits.
I think consistent is a good way to describe his career. You know, he's just a guy that shows up every day ready to play a ball game and help his team win however he can.
Ruby's fallen behind now, 3 balls and 1 strike. Plays the infield, plays the outfield, switch hits. And the heart of the Cubs order is coming up. Walked him. So the first 2 have reached in the Chicago third. Second walk issued by Ruby De La Rosa.
First baseman Anthony Rizzo.
Can't walk guys ahead of Rizzo and Bryant. Rizzo was hit by a pitch and scored a run in his first plate appearance. What a year last year. 2nd straight All-Star trip. 4th in the National League at MVP voting, Anthony Rizzo. He's up there with Hayward at 2nd and Zobrist at 1st. Diamondbacks cannot put the shift on with 2 base runners. This is at 95.
At least not as much of a shift as they would like.
Yeah, Rizzo came up to lead off the 2nd inning, and they had half the team over there on the right-hand side. You were marveling at the Cubs batting practice today.
Man, I'm telling you what, We were about to move our Dodge Ram truck out there in the back of the right field bleachers somewhere else because guys were coming awfully close to that truck.
They can put on a show, that's for sure, some of these big bats. And Rizzo did more than his share of damage against the D-backs last year. 10 RBIs in 6 games. Back in there right on top of that plate. And it works for him last year. 38 doubles, 31 homers. He knocked in 101 runs. And he's at his best when he's got runners on base. I guess that's clutch, although sabermetricians hate that word. Hard to quantify exactly.
It is hard to quantify, but the eye test would tell you some guys just seem to rise to the occasion. I played with a guy, George Bell, in Toronto, that just seemed to be a different hitter with runners in scoring position. Nobody on base. He was doing the Miguel Montero. He was trying to hit the ball over the world. But you put a runner at second and third, he'd shorten up his swing a little bit. He'd be more conscious of driving the ball to the opposite field. And one of the great run producers of his era.
Just saw a shot of Dr. Ed Lewis, who runs the Diamondbacks analytics department. Now Welly and Ruby got to get together with Nick Ahmed. There's Dr. Ed out there with Deshaun Watson and Dave Stewart.
Well, you definitely want to make sure that Jason Hayward out there at second base isn't tipping anything to Anthony Rizzo at the plate. You want to make sure your signs are complicated enough that the Cubs can't steal them, but easy enough so that Ruby's not confused out there on the mound. They may have just verbally decided what they're going to throw. Wellington just nods his head, doesn't even give a sign.
It rolls into right center. Hayward comes in, he will score, and Zobrist goes to third. We mentioned Anthony Rizzo is better when there are runners on base, and it's a 4-3 ball game. Mike Butcher one more time.
That's what Rizzo likes. He likes pitches out over the plate. And we talked about how close he stands to that inside corner. The barrel of his bat many times is off the plate away. So if you're going to try to go away from him, you almost need to throw it in the right-handed batter's box.
Well, we've talked about these Ruby moments. It's just there are moments where maybe he has a lapse in concentration, seems distracted. He's got a lot going on out there, and it has not had a chance to settle in. He hit Rizzo and gave up a Bryant double to open up the second, and now it's gone single walk single to open up the third. So he's had traffic around him all night here, and still nobody out in this third inning. Zobrist is at third, Rizzo at first, and the dangerous Chris Bryant steps in. Bryant doubled and scored his first time up. Sky high up near the roof. Welly, he's got room, backing up there, and he's got it.
Get up, get up, get up.
Rizzo heads to second, and he is in there. It rolls into right center. Zobrist will score. Rizzo gets third. The game is tied. Well, Bob, you said it, those catcher's instincts of yours kicked in there. And Welly a little shaken up there after that somersault over the on-deck circle.
He went back hard on his backside, maybe hit his head on the ground as he tumbled backwards to make this catch. That ball was a mile in the air. Well, right there, he checks the runner at third, but forgets about Rizzo at first base, who alertly tagged, advanced on to second, and on the errant throw, he's going to end up at third base.
A 4-4 ball game. Lackey was down 3-0 after one. Now he's got a clean slate, so to speak. Tommy LaStella, who took over at third when Schwarber had to leave. Bryant moved out to left. LaStella, the former Atlanta Brave, who missed much of spring training this year with a strained calf and was out almost all of last season with the right rib cage situation. Infield creeps in for the D-backs. Goldie. Rizzo stays put, got a hurry, and he gets the tag on LaStella.
Well, that was not an easy play. You talk about multitasking. You got to come in and field the ground ball. That's the first thing. At the same time he was doing that, Goldie was checking the runner Rizzo at third base, and then knew as soon as he caught the ball he had to bust it over that first baseline because they had no chance to get LaStella otherwise.
I saw Kyle Dradebeck, who was brought up here to give the Diamondbacks some length in that bullpen. Ruby over 50 pitches now through 2 2/3, and Miguel Montero steps in. 2 outs and Rizzo at third base. High chopper. Segura's there. It's been a wild one so far. Get comfortable. We're all tied at 4. Retailer, 1893 from the makers of Pepsi. Paul Goldschmidt leads off the third against John Lackey. It's a 4-4 ball game. And we have seen just about everything you can imagine in a baseball game so far through 2.5 innings.
Including a few things you never expect in a baseball game, but that's why you play them.
And we got 3 more to go with these guys. Goldie walked and scored his first time up tonight. Base hit by a diving Ben Zobrist. Hayward's got it in right. Leadoff single for Goldie. 5th hit for the Diamondbacks against John Lackey.
What a great approach by Goldie. Let that ball get deep, protecting the plate with 2 strikes, and just shoots it through that right side. No stride whatsoever with the front foot. Just past the diving Ben Zobrist.
David Peralta doubled into the left field corner his first time. Scored on Jake Lamb's 2-run single. Diamondbacks got 3 in the first against Lackey. Peralta, base hit, and Goldie's on the move. It rolls all the way to the wall. Matt Williams will wave him home, and here comes the freight train in at third. Get on board, everybody. Mr. Brindley, can I interest you in some tacos?
Always. You can always interest me in tacos. Diamondbacks have scored the 5 runs necessary for everybody to get 3 beef tacos tomorrow with the purchase of a large drink at participating location. That ball was sizzled into the gap in right center field. Good speed out there with Fowler and Hayward, but it splits the gap perfectly. As usual, Goldie got such a good read at first base. Never hesitated. He knows Matt Williams got a real good chance to send him home. He doesn't bother to look over his shoulder until he knows he's going to score.
Wellington Castillo first pitch swinging just like he did his first time up. And Fowler comes in and makes the catch. Peralta stays put at third. A shoestring catch there for Dexter Fowler. That one almost dropped in. Boy, you're right, Bob. That's twice now that Castillo's just up there hacking.
Sometimes you can be overly influenced by the advance report. We've talked at length already about Lackey and his propensity for throwing lots of fastballs, and Wellington Castillo has gone up there and just jumped on the first thing he sees in both at bats. Still has to be a pitch you want to hit.
Cubs infield will come in now. Peralta at third, 1 out. Jake Lamb had a big 2-out 2-run single back in the first. Jake has shown much improved patience at the plate. The discipline's been much better all spring long. He has taken a couple of walks already this year. And it really did become a theme for him during the Cactus League season. As spring training went on and on, he took a base on balls at sea more and more often and walked 14 times against 16 strikeouts. He finished the spring with a .521 on base percentage.
That's really impressive because that's something he needed to work on. And it's not easy to go into spring training when you haven't really been competitive at baseball, haven't been facing live pitching for a long time, and take pitches the way Jake Lamb did this spring. He knew what he needed to improve upon, and he worked hard on it in the Cactus League.
drives it out to Bryant in left. Here comes Peralta. It's another RBI for Jake Lamb, and it's 6-4 D-backs. Jake's knocked in 3 tonight. It's just so good to see him stay off those borderline pitches, not chase the bad ones. The at-bats have been so much better.
It's tough enough to hit in the big leagues when you do swing at strikes, but when you're chasing pitches out of the zone, you get yourself out an awful lot. That ball was right on the button to Bryant, who actually had to back up a step, making it a little bit easier for David Peralta to score on that sac fly.
Diamondbacks have got 3 in the first, 1 in the second, now 2 more in the third. Here's Yasmani Tomas. Waves it one up near his shoulder. Tomas flied out his first at bat.
John Lackey,
something there.
He never has been shy about drilling the opposition if he feels it's appropriate. And after Anthony Rizzo got hit, I wondered if there would come one at some point in this ball game.
File that away. Tomas down 0-2. Funny, when Lackey is competing in a game, he says he's a different guy than he is the other 4 days. He takes it very seriously. The body language gets out of control, the facial expressions. You'll see the whole thing. He strikes out Tomas for his 4th punch out tonight, but Goldie singles, Peralta triples, Lamb the sac fly. Diamondbacks and Cubs, a couple of heavyweights slugging it out here at 6-4 through 3.
Scoreboard operator here at Chase Field just went on the DL with tendonitis in both hands.
It's a messy scorecard already. 6 runs on 6 hits for the D-backs, 4 and 4 for the Cubs. Not exactly a pitcher's duel.
And ironically, I think it might be ironic. You know better than I would. Diamondbacks line score reached 312, which is the area code in Chicago. Coincidence.
That's a tough one. It's not always that easy. Yeah, I think I would put coincidence.
Yeah, okay.
They happen to be playing Chicago, which is coincidental. I always go by the old axiom that irony is when the fire station's on fire. Anything else is usually coincidence. Just missed there at 96. He wanted that one. Adrian Johnson says 2-2.
That's when you may not get the call. It's just a tad off the outside corner, but that's a great location for a 1-2 pitch.
David Peralta can't get it, and it rolls to the wall. Russell's on the run, and he'll stop at second. Well, that's the 3rd straight inning that the Cubs leadoff man has reached.
Pitcher, John Lackey.
Just out of the reach. David Peralta almost able to get there, but it gets by all the way to that right field bullpen. Addison Russell was thinking 3. Well, with nobody out in the inning, he chooses to stop at second base, where he's in scoring position now for John Lackey, who will more than likely bunt him up. Try to bunt him up.
Lackey could not get a bunt down up there earlier with runners on base and ended up striking out. Goldie in halfway almost at first. Jake Lamb sort of kitty cornered at third. I always imagine it's very difficult, Bob, for the third baseman in this situation when you got a guy on second and a right-hand hitter up there.
Well, this particular bunt play, Ruby De La Rosa is responsible for the third base side of the infield. Obviously, Goldie well drawn in at first. He'll cover the right side. Only if the ball is bunted hard enough that Ruby can't get it, then Jake Lamb would come in and make the play and go on to first and just take the sacrifice out. But if at all possible, you'd like to see Ruby bounce off that mound, get on the ball, and hold Addison Russell at second base or throw him out at third base.
I hope you don't mind. I've arranged a little presentation for you.
Oh, nice.
We have some hardware up here that we'll get to in just a minute. No rush. A little something I put together for you.
You've been busy.
I didn't.
Wow.
3-0 now. We'll take a shot of it after this batter. Some hardware in the booth as we get ready for the Copa America soccer tournament coming up. 3-1. Center field for CO. The Copa America is coming up. It's the oldest international soccer tournament in the world. And this year it's being held in the U.S. It's the first time ever that the Copa America has been held outside of South America. They'll be playing some games in Glendale, and that, BB, is the Copa America Cup.
Very nice. Beautiful. They told us don't touch it.
Yeah. You might get a smudge on it or something. It's wonderful.
That is nice.
It's all polished up and everything. So.
Yeah. It was down on the field before the game. When the Diamondbacks were hitting, they had it on the third base side of the field. When the Cubs took BP, they moved it over to the first base side. We're very fortunate to have a visit from the trophy up here in the booth.
Nothing doing at second base there. So we've got some Copa America games coming up in Glendale. The oldest international soccer tournament in the world. And University of Phoenix Stadium. Mexico will be in action Sunday, June 5th. Ecuador and Peru. And as part of the tournament, they'll play the third place game at Glendale at the end of June. Dexter Fowler hammers it toward the pool. It stays in the yard.
Oh, no.
Russell will score. It rolls away out there, and Fowler's flying into third. It's an RBI triple. Back and forth we go.
The way that ball caromed off the wall out there in front of the RamTrucks.com pool area, I thought we were going to see another inside the Parker here.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned Fowler with more pop from the left side, and he showed it right there. Bangs that ball off the wall. No relay throw to third base that time as Fowler slides in.
So it's a 6-5 ball game. Fowler's first triple. He's at third with one out for Jason Hayward. Hayward singled and scored his last time up. He's 1 for 2. Wellington Castillo keeps that one in front. Hayward coming off a big spring with the Cubs. He led the team with 14 RBIs and had 9 hits, 7 for extra bases, including 3 home runs. Joe Madden really loves this Fowler-Hayward combination at the top. He's not messing around with 1 and 2, he says, and he is a lineup wizard. I mean, Madden had some seasons in Tampa Bay where he had 162 lineups. But he says, I love 1 and 2. Fowler and Hayward. Everything else is up for grabs, but those guys are locked in.
He played Matt Caesar the other day against the Angels because Villanova won the NCAA basketball tournament, and Matt Caesar went to Villanova, and he hit a home run in the game.
It's an 8, I guess, isn't it? 1 and 1. Well, you were talking about, chicken and the egg, and what Kate was saying earlier about the way the Cubs play with fun and passion and joy. They look like they're enjoying themselves. And where does that start? I think a lot of it comes from the manager here in this particular case. Just he's got this unique perspective on life and the way he runs his team. I mean, he's the guy that said, hey, the jackets and ties on a plane, that's dumb. What are we doing that for? Be comfortable. Wear what you want. Wear a Hawaiian shirt. Wear whatever you want. Just enjoy yourself. That's what he wants with this group.
Actually wore their pajamas on one flight last year.
Yeah, they do all those crazy theme flights. They dress up in different costumes and have a theme. They don't just do it, for rookies or something. They'll do it a bunch of times every year. Well, Ruby's in a mess now. He's behind 3-1 on Hayward. Bullpen busy again for the Diamondbacks. And he walked him. Third walk issued by Ruby De La Rosa. He's at 70 pitches now, 40 strikes. And Chip Hale's seen enough. Pitching change. Ruby De La Rosa exits a 6-5 ball game. Back after this. On 6 hits, he walked 3. He's responsible for 2 base runners, so it's something of a save situation. And forget about the long man. Here's a guy that's got closer stuff. It's the youngster Jake Barrett out of Desert Ridge High School in Mesa and ASU, who's got power stuff, and the Diamondbacks need it right here. They're on the corners with 1 out for the heart of the Cubs order. Dexter Fowler is the runner at 3rd. And Jason Hayward at 1st. Zobrist, Rizzo, and Bryant coming up. Zobrist has popped up, walked, and scored. So the building's burning down, and here comes the fire department.
You may ask yourself, why the switch from Drabek to Barrett? Well, the pitcher spot is due up 2nd for the Diamondbacks in the bottom half of the inning. So if they wanted to bring Drabek into the game as the long man to give you multiple innings, he would have had to make some kind of a double switch in order to make that happen and avoid the pitcher hitting 2nd next inning. But now with Barrett in the ball game, he's just going to go as hard as he can, try to get out of this inning, and then pick a pinch hitter in that 9 spot.
Well, Jake is used to working in save situations. He had 15 saves last year at Mobile and Reno. 51 strikeouts in 53 innings. And you know that Chip would love to see a strikeout or 2 right here. Hayward takes off. It gets behind Castillo, and Fowler will score. We're tied at 6.
I'm not sure if that'll be ruled a wild pitch or a pass ball. It was a fastball pulled over there inside to the left-handed hitting Zobrist. Well, he may have lost sight of that ball at one point, but either way, it goes to the backstop as a wild pitch.
D-backs led 3-0, 4-2, 6-4, and now it's 6-6. Stolen base and a wild pitch, the scoring on that one.
Ask, how does he get credit for a stolen base when the ball was thrown to the backstop? Because Hayward was running on the pitch, so he's credited with the stolen base. The runner from 3rd scores on the wild pitch.
Count is 3-0 on Ben Zobrist. All 4. That's the 4th walk issued by D-backs pitchers, the 2nd in this inning. Mike Butcher. Mike's getting to the workout here tonight.
Well, and you mentioned it earlier. That's just unacceptable against a team that can hammer the ball the way the Cubs do. They do strike out a lot as well, but you put runners on base ahead of good hitters like Anthony Rizzo and Chris Bryant, they can put a crooked number on the board in a hurry.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. That's something you think pitchers feel out there. Oh, geez, if I walk this guy, then I got the other guy coming up, and then the other guy behind him. And
well, yeah, maybe they do think that way, and that causes you to guide the ball instead of just being nice and free and easy and throw to your catcher's target and trust your stuff.
Well, young Jake Barrett in the big leagues for the first time, and in a big spot here. Hayward at 2nd, Zobrist at 1st. 2 runs already in. He shoots it down the right field line. That's a fair ball. Hayward will score. He will wave Zobrist home as well. It's still in the corner. Rizzo heads for 3rd. It's a 2-run triple.
Right on top of the plate. You try to come in on his hands, and he's able to keep it fair down into that right field corner. Most left-handed hitters would pull that ball foul. Rizzo's able to keep it fair. Hayward scores easily. Then Zobrist right behind him. David Peralta had some issues down there in the corner. He went out of our line of sight all the way in the right field corner. I'm not sure what took so long to get the ball back in.
It's turned into a 4-run Chicago fourth. They lead at 8-6 after the Diamondbacks led 3-0 after the first inning. And now here's Chris Bryant. Infield creeps in for Arizona. And there's a ball. Bryant doubled and scored in the second, popped up in the third. The scoop. Here comes Rizzo. He will score. And it's a 9-6 ball game. Bryant is out at second. Jake Lamb made a tremendous stop there. Rizzo got back to the bag at third safely. But then he threw it away. Goldie couldn't make the short hop.
Nice play just to stop that screamer right there. But once he's back to the bag, you got to unload that ball to first base. Looked like he was caught by surprise there. Threw it errantly to Paul Goldschmidt.
Now Rizzo is, or Bryant, pardon me, is still standing at second base. Let's see if they challenge.
Cubs might challenge this one.
And they are going to put on the headsets. Gary Cederstrom, the crew chief of the first base umpire, comes over with Eric Cooper. Boy, Cooper's perfect position to make the call.
Ladies and gentlemen, the previous play is under official video replay review. The call on the field is that the runner is out.
Eric Cooper on the right there. One more look.
The call was initiated with the manager challenge by the Chicago Cubs.
He's in there.
Yeah.
So it's a 5-run Cubs fourth, and this looks like it'll be overturned.
It's uncharacteristic of the Diamondbacks defensively. Wellington Castillo, after catching that pop-up behind home plate, forgot about the runner at first base. Jake Lamb on this play, after chasing Rizzo back to the bag at third, was a little bit late throwing that ball across the diamond, had to rush his throw. You just don't see the Diamondbacks make those kind of defensive mistakes.
I think they look a little tight, frankly. Maybe feeling the disappointment of losing 2 out of 3 to Colorado, knowing the Cubs are coming in here, knowing that everything that goes along with the Cubs and the expectations, the predictions, all of that. It's been a sloppy effort so far.
It really has been.
Taking a long look in New York.
Well, the good news is Diamondbacks have 6 more at bats offensively the way this game's going.
Yeah.
They may need an auxiliary scoreboard.
They led it 3-0 in the first. Gene Segura on the first pitch of the ball game homered off John Lackey. Jake Lamb had a 2-run single in that first. Cubs answered with 2 in the second. Addison Russell had a 2-run single. Diamondbacks got 1 back in the home half of the second on Segura's inside the park home run when Schwarber and Fowler collided out there in left center. And the call at second is safe, so Joe Madden wins his challenge.
Not only did the Cubs win the challenge, but I would assume Jake Lamb's going to be hung with an error now, allowing Bryant to go from first to second.
See how they score that. It's now a 9-6 ball game. Tommy La Stella came into the ball game to play third when Bryant moved out to left, replacing Kyle Schwarber, who was injured on that collision with Fowler on what turned out to be Segura's inside the park homer. They ruled that a single. They give Bryant the RBI and they charge Lamb with an error, so that it's RBI single and E5 is how you score that. Phone rings again in the Diamondback bullpen. Garvin Alston, the bullpen coach, is busy down there. Stella, the former Atlanta Brave, only 33 games with the Cubs last year. He hit just under 270. He was hurt most of the year with right rib cage inflammation. Kyle Drabek has started throwing again in the Diamondback bullpen. Already this game has seen 15 runs on 14 hits. 2 errors as well, both by the Diamondbacks. Three and two, a full count on Tommy La Stella. Miguel Montero on deck. Cubs with 2 in the second, 2 in the third, now 5 in the fourth. And Montero would be the 9th man to bat in this inning. Segura at second. Ryan moves along, 2 down.
Catcher Miguel.
Miggy has struck out and grounded out. He's 0 for 2. Acquired from the Diamondbacks prior to last year for pitchers Zach Godley and Jefferson Mejia. Cubs also picked up all of Montero's remaining contract, which was 3 years and $40 million. And it's trades like that that help get you Zach Greinke. And we know how valuable Zach Godley was for the Diamondbacks last year. 1-1.
Well, the Cubs can afford to pick up money like a few other franchises in baseball. This ballpark they play in is called Wrigley Field, but it's really the world's largest ATM machine.
Much like Fenway Park, they have literally turned those ballparks into tourist attractions. It's like Disney World or someplace. They finally got tired of battling all the rooftop people across the street, so they just bought all the buildings.
Just buy the block.
And they are building a complex around there. Kind of doing it one section per year as best they can during the Chicago winters. But all that area, if you've ever been to Wrigley Field, behind the third base spot, there's that big parking lot out there and everything. They're building a whole big complex over there.
Underground batting cages.
In fact, they had to take the famous Wrigley Field marquee down for a while, and they just put it back up this week as part of the construction. That famous red marquee outside.
I was told last year that the very last part of the rebuilding process for Wrigley will be the press box.
No, well, it's priorities. I'm sure Len Casper was thrilled when he heard that. The great Len Casper, and Jim Deshaies working just to our left here on Cubs TV. And it was great. Oh, as always, there's Lenny and JD. And he's right. He's exhausted. Got to talk to Pat Hughes, the radio man, as well. He's a legend, Pat Hughes, one of the all-time greats.
One of the best.
He was visiting, stopped by earlier to say hi. Great basketball player, Pat Hughes.
And still plays on the road. He finds a place close to every Cubs team hotel, whether it be a fire station or an elementary school or a playground, and goes out and bangs a round ball a little bit every afternoon.
Jake missed inside, and it's a full count, 3-2. Russell, the shortstop, on deck. So Barrett has gone full to the last two batters. Got LaStella to ground out. Now he needs to retire Montero. Russell already has singled and doubled, driven in two, and scored a run. 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here it is. Over the mound. Nick Ahmed is on it, and he's got it. Nick Ahmed saves a run. The D-backs defensively. We celebrate the 1999 team that won 100 games in just its second season of existence and played in the National League Division Series where they lost to the Mets, and Matt Williams put up some monster numbers that year.
Unbelievable year. What a team.
Matt Williams in 1999 hit 35 home runs and drove in 142 runs. 142 RBIs for Matty back in '99. Chris Owings. And you go down and look at that offensive team, BB, and you broadcast all the games with the great Tom Brenneman. Boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Jay Bell, who threw out the first pitch here tonight, hit 38 homers and drove in 112. Matty had 35 and 142. Gonzo, 26 home runs, knocked in 111. Here's Gonzo. And Steve Finley, 34 homers, 103 RBIs. It's a lot of offense.
That's a lot of noise. Yeah, they were a fun team to watch, no question about it.
And every first 5,000 fans, I should say, through the gates here at Chase Field today, and it will be the case on every Throwback Thursday as Russell has this one. Got a free poster with a great picture of Matt Williams back in the day from the 1999 season. And that's what we're doing with our Throwback Thursdays here at Chase Field. All season long, every Throwback Thursday, we'll honor a different D-backs team.
Learned a very valuable lesson that year.
Which was?
Don't go down to the clubhouse after a clinching game. I was assigned to go into the clubhouse to get some sound from the boys.
As the man on the street reporter.
As Tom Brenneman stayed up in the booth to kind of carry the telecast from up there, and I went downstairs and got absolutely soaked.
Socrates Brito will hit for Jake Barrett.
But it was good preparation for what happened a couple of years ago.
I was going to say. Socrates had a good spring, hit just over 300, had a home run, shoots this one toward left center, Fowler. Well, he can cover a lot of ground out there. I'm told that the news is somewhat encouraging on Kyle Schwarber. There was an early report on his condition.
I got a text from a representative of the Cubs that said the initial diagnosis is a sprained left ankle. X-rays were negative. They're going to take him for an MRI tomorrow to get a more conclusive reading. Well, that's about the best news you could hope for under the circumstances.
Yeah, violent collision at full speed with Dexter Fowler out there in left center on Gene Segura's inside the park home run. So Segura in 2 at-bats has homered twice. He took Lackey's first pitch as a Cub out of here to right field over the head of Jason Hayward. And then hit the ball to left center. There's an inside the park home run. Zobrist has that one, and Lackey, after a 5-run fourth, gets the shutdown 1-2-3 inning. Diamondbacks trail at 9-6. The son of former Cy Young winner Doug Drabek, who was the pitching coach at AA Mobile, working there with Robbie Hammock, formerly a first-round draft pick by the Phillies 10 years ago, and a high school buddy at the Woodlands outside Houston with Goldie. Spent most of last year with Charlotte, the White Sox AAA team, made 24 starts, went 7-11, and he saw the numbers earlier. Only 3 big league appearances with the White Sox last year. All in April, all in relief, working mostly mop-up duty in games that were 10-1, 12-3, and 9-1. It's 9-6 as he starts the 5th. And Chip Hale told us that when Silvino Bracho went down after opening day to AAA Reno and Drabek came up, as Russell leads off the inning for the Cubs, the Drabek's job now is to keep the Diamondbacks in the ballgame. And this is a guy who, when he was younger, threw 98, 99, and has worked hard following 2 Tommy John surgeries to reinvent himself. And is now a very effective sinker ball guy, keeps the ball down, generates ground ball outs. And the Diamondbacks, in games just like this, hoping to protect that bullpen and all those short relievers back there from burning out in a busy first month when they have only one day off and a lot of big games. So they want some length from Kyle Drabek.
And we mentioned the strategy involved bringing Jake Barrett in as a short guy just to try to get out of the inning, clear that pitcher spot with Socrates Brito pinch hitting, and now Drabek will try to give them as much as he can out of that bullpen.
It's been a long road for this young man. It was a very promising pitching prospect taken by the Phillies with their first-round pick 10 years ago. 3-2 on Russell, who has singled, doubled, driven in 2, and scored a run.
Nice comeback.
Kyle Drabek. Good start for Kyle. He was part of the package that Philadelphia sent to Toronto in the Roy Halladay deal. That was before the 2010 season. And at that point, Kyle Drabek was one of the top prospects in all of baseball. But his career has been just really derailed by injuries. Not one, but 2 Tommy John surgeries. 2007 and then again in 2012. Here's Lackey. So you'll take tonight every bit that Drabek can give you. Nick Ahmed on the high hop, plants and throws. 2 down. We mentioned that 2-seam sinker that Drabek has had to come up with after the elbow surgeries have turned him into a very effective ground ball pitcher.
There's a lot of late movement. The strikeout of Addison Russell was on a good sinker down and in. Just took him a few pitches to find his release point. Bounced a couple of those sinkers up there earlier in the at bat, but appeared to find the location he needed.
The 18th overall selection in the 2006 draft. 2 down for Fowler, who had an RBI triple and scored a run his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Kyle Drabek started a game for the Diamondbacks against the Giants that last week of spring training, when everybody just wants to get through it without having any injuries. And he looked good. He impressed the coaches here and had a promising spring. Mentioned he was part of that big deal for Roy Halladay. Blue Jays got a bunch of guys back in return. He was one, but it just didn't work for him in Toronto. He went just 8-15 over parts of 5 seasons with the Blue Jays, and last year made it back with the White Sox. .30 pitch. That's in there for a strike. Nice. 3-2.
It was actually a cutter, I believe, a little bit off speed. Right there on the outside corner.
Bounce that one up there. That's the 5th walk issued by D-backs pitchers. Couldn't quite battle back. A 2-out base on balls for Fowler. That brings up Jason Hayward.
This needs to make a slight adjustment. It's not unusual for a sinker ball pitcher or a split finger pitcher to come into a ball game and you see him bouncing a lot of pitches in the dirt until they find the release point, till they get comfortable out there on the game mound. He's to find it quickly before he gets into the heart of this Cubs order.
Ruby goes tonight only 3 1/3, gave up 7 runs, 6 were earned on 6 hits. He also walked 3. So Ruby's rocky spring has continued into the regular season. Wellington Castillo will get together with Drabek now. He's got he's always a happy guy, Wellington Castillo. Mike Butcher's been out there about 10 times tonight.
I was just thinking that, you see it happen in spring training occasionally when a pitcher's maybe throwing on a backfield to some minor leaguers or something. It's not unusual for the pitching coach to set up the L screen behind the mound, so he can really get a good look at the pitcher's delivery, get a good look at what the pitches are doing. As many times as Mike Butcher's been out there today, they might want to put the L screen behind the mound and get him a chair.
He's earned himself a dessert or something, burning those calories. Hayward has grounded out, singled and scored and walked. He's also stolen a base. And now Draybeck, who looked pretty good. His first two batters getting Russell to strike out and Lackey to ground out. Walk Fowler, he's behind on Hayward 3-0.
More pitches in the dirt than have made it to home plate in the air so far from Draybeck. Needs to find that release point. Get out in front a little bit further.
Not that time. A 4-pitch walk. Back-to-back 2-out walks. And what have we said about walking guys ahead of Zobrist, Rizzo, and Bryant? That's 6 walks now issued by Mike Butcher's pitching staff. Zobrist has walked twice. Here he comes. Randall Delgado. There you go.
Into a changeup. Sometimes you have to go to a secondary pitch to get a guy back into the strike zone. Just consistently bouncing that sinker up there. So go to something else. Change the release point a little bit. Force him to throw something different.
He's trying to find it right now.
We were talking about the Joe Morgan chicken wing earlier in the ball game. Zobrist has his own little thing going on back there, mixing the cake or whatever you want to call it. Gets that bat going round and round and round and round. I'd be tempted to just stand out there and hold the ball and see how long he would do that before he'll call timeout. And I'm sure some pitchers have tried that on Ben Zobrist before, and there's a line, there's a boundary where he says, okay, that's long enough. Starting to feel some tension in my forearms. Time to step out.
It's like he's, yeah, you're right. It's like he's stirring some cake batter in there or something. 2-1. Kyle Draybeck having trouble throwing strikes. He's thrown 22 pitches so far, Kyle. Only 8 strikes. Back-to-back 2-out walks. Now behind on Zobrist, 3-1. He has walked 3 in a row, all with 2 outs. And now the bases are loaded for Anthony Rizzo.
Baseman Anthony Rizzo.
Rizzo was hit by a pitch and scored a run. Had an RBI single and a 2-run triple. And we have mentioned that he's been a problem for the Diamondbacks before. A .317 hitter. He's got 2 career grand slams. But last year against the D-backs, he had 10 RBIs in 6 games, and he's up here with 2 outs and the bases full. Dexter Fowler is at third. Jason Hayward at second and Ben Zobrist at first. Diamondbacks want to stay in this ball game. They need to retire Rizzo right now. Delgado is quickly throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. So far for Kyle Drabek, twice as many balls as strikes. 2-0. There's the strike, 2-1. Chip Hale was very clear. Kyle Drabek's job, keep the Diamondbacks in the game. And to do that, he needs to get Rizzo. Pulls that one foul. Right over the head of Brandon Hyde at first.
Not very many empty seats on that first base side tonight, but fortunately that line drive hit an empty seat.
Hopefully got more chair than arm. That young lady seems okay. 2-2. Bounced another one. The count is full. He has walked 3 consecutive batters, all with 2 outs, and now it's a 3-2 count on Rizzo. There go the runners. He got him. Kyle Drabek. It was a wild ride, man. He walked 3, but he leaves him loaded. And he puts a 0 up there in the Cub 5th. 2 strikeouts and 3 walks in the inning. Buckle. And you can customize your own ticket package. Ticket to all 3 Yankee games if you want. Nick Ahmed grounds out to Anderson Russell. The D-backs mini plan is a great way. You can design it yourself and get seats for all 3 games against the Yankees, May 16th through the 18th at dbacks.com. So Lackey's now sit down 7 straight. 1 out for Goldie, who was walked, singled, and scored twice. Got some news from Reno here, BB.
Okay.
Used some good pitching news tonight. Archie Bradley, 6 scoreless innings so far for the Aces, and Phil Nevin. Archie has worked 6 scoreless, given up just 2 hits, and struck out 7. And Reno leads 5-0 in the bottom of the 6th.
Nice.
1-1 on Goldie. This has been like a tennis match with these 2 booming serve and volley guys back and forth. It's the Diamondbacks' turn to answer now. They led it 3-0 after 1 inning. They led 4-2 after 2. They led 6-4 after 3. But now here in the bottom of the 5th, they trail at 9-6. High fly ball. Here comes Hayward. And drifting near the line. 2 down. The to Jimmy John's high-speed delivery. And a good night for the freight train. 2 extra base hits. He doubled and scored in the first. An RBI triple, and he scored in the third. The freight train has been on the tracks all night long.
I'll tell you what, partner.
Yeah.
This has been a tough game to score. Action is happening so fast and furious. I forgot to mark an RBI for David Peralta on that triple. I have to double check my book after the game.
Yeah, I've gone through 3/4 of a pencil here. Running out of lead. 0-1. Peralta 3 for 3. Here we go again. He's thinking 2 here. He'll take the turn. Here's the throw from Hayward. He is in there. 2 doubles and a triple for the freight train. David Peralta.
Wear out my whistle tonight.
The wreck of the old 97.
Wow, he is just locked in against John Lackey. Everything right on the button. Not a poor pitch, down and in below the knees, but David went down and got it, hooked it into that right field corner.
That'll make him 8 for 17 to start the year, David Peralta, after he had kind of a quiet, slow spring. Now Wellington Castillo, in both at bats against Lackey tonight, has chopped at the first pitch. He has popped up and flied out. He takes it that time. 1-0. Now, you were saying you think Wellie's getting a little long here.
Yeah, you know, we kind of jokingly talked about Miguel Montero earlier in the ball game, taking that big swing, trying to lift the ball in the air and muscle it out of the ballpark. But when you do that, it makes your swing longer and slower.
Listella at third. And they retire Castillo. We are through 5. Diamondbacks trail the Cubs 9-6. Led the league in strikeouts. He punched out in 30% of his at-bats last year. And he will lead off the 6th against Kyle Drabek, who had a wild ride in the 5th. He got the first 2 batters, then walked 3 in a row. And then with the bases loaded and 2 outs, he struck out Anthony Rizzo on a 3-2 pitch.
He got the first 2 batters on 8 pitches, and then the next 4 batters saw 21 pitches.
But he got the big out when he needed it, and he kept it a 9-6 ball game, and that's what they're looking for. Brian has doubled and scored, and he's got an RBI single as well. Got to be careful here if you're a sinker ball guy like Drabek, because Chris Bryant, for a big guy up there at 6'5", can really get down low in the zone. Look at how he bends his knee.
Yeah, hits out of an exaggerated crouch.
Lifts that up in the air. Right field for Peralta.
Well, some guys will stand with an exaggerated crouch, but as they get ready to swing, they'll come up out of it and be a little more upright. He stays right down there. Good low ball hitter. Fortunately lofts this one out to right field for an easy first out in the inning.
Yeah, you can't just work Bryant down to try and get that easy ground ball if you're a pitcher up there, because with his length and that crouch, he can get down there and dig it out and hit it 490 feet like he did against the Diamondbacks last year. Remember that? He bounced one off that scoreboard in Wrigley.
Scoreboard, yeah, about knocked it down. They actually had to put a screen up.
This is it, and it came off Ruby De La Rosa.
I was just about to say they had the scoreboard up there and had to put a screen up to pull across that board for batting practice, because Bryant and others were banging dents in the new scoreboard.
Tommy Listella now. Goldie in front of Segura. Drabek hustles over, and he finds the bag with that foot. 2 down.
Goldie ranging far to his right that time, maybe a little farther than he should have, and talking it over with Gene Segura right there, new second baseman this season, just talked about that boundary over there. How far can you go? How far should you go? That time Goldie able to get to it on a backhand.
Well, if you're Goldie and you range a little too far over, do you run the risk of then getting caught in no man's land where you let Segura take it, but you're then too far away to get back to the bag?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, getting back to the bag's out of the question, and it reminds me of a funny story. Will Clark and Robbie Thompson on the right side of the Giants infield. They both came up in the same year, but Robbie was a much more seasoned defensive player. Will was out of control at times. And Robbie would actually draw a line on the right side of the infield. Don't cross that line.
Not a bad idea. Miguel Montero, Miggy 0 for 3. He has struck out and twice grounded out. It wasn't too long before Will Clark was drawing his own lines in dirt. Woo. One of the sweetest swings ever. There we go. Segura will take this one this time. And a nice job by Kyle Drabek, who works a 1-2-3-6. The BB bobblehead.
Trying to write all that down.
What was that again? Jake Lamb, 3 RBIs. And he'll lead it off against John Lackey. Jake had a big 2-out 2-run single in the first, as the D-backs got 3 in the first against Lackey. And then an RBI sac fly in the third. Drives that one into right. A base hit for Lamb. Boy, does he look good.
Stayed back nicely on that slow breaking ball from John Lackey that time. Swing is so much quicker this year, allowing him to recognize pitches a little better, keeps his head right down the barrel of the bat, and finds that hole on the right side.
He was right on that one. Nice solid contact. Yasmani Tomas 0 for 2. He has flied out and struck out. Lackey last time came up and in on Yasmani, who swung at one that was just about at his neck.
I'm pretty sure Yasmani swung at a knockdown pitch.
He may have.
You know, the Diamondbacks scored 2 in that inning, and then Lackey got 2 quick outs. Tomas was up there with 2 outs and nobody on base. Perfect time to retaliate if you feel it's necessary, if you're John Lackey. And I think he was trying to at least knock him off the plate, and Yasmani swung at it.
1-2. Well, with the way Rizzo stands out over the plate, he was hit 30 times, 6 more times than anyone else in baseball last year. I don't know how much of that calls for retaliation.
And not only does he stand on top of the plate, but anytime you get hit in the back arm, I think it's the hitter's fault. If you're opening up that much, you're just not respecting the pitcher's right to pitch inside. From the very first day of Little League, guys are taught if the ball's coming at you, you turn away from it. You try to pull your head down into your shoulders. Try to protect yourself as much as you can. The guys that get hit on the back arm, for me, just they have no respect for a pitcher pitching inside. It's our own fault.
Cubs bullpen gets busy. Justin Grimm, the right-hander. 1-2. Yasmani Tomas, as a rookie last year, something of a Jekyll and Hyde season. Showed a great deal of promise early in the year. Called up to the big leagues in the middle of April. And hit .313 before the All-Star break. But the batting average dropped to .208 in the second half of the year. And his playing time dropped with it. Just stays alive right there. They believe the power is going to come in 2016. John Watson, D-backs senior VP of baseball ops, says Tomas should be more comfortable up there. Should understand better how he's being attacked by the opposing pitchers. Everything was new last year.
You may wonder what happened to the Diamondbacks offense. They were just banging the ball all over the ballpark in those first 3 innings. But if you recall, John Lackey was throwing almost all fastballs in the first 3 innings. We've seen some sliders. We've seen some slow curve balls. He's mixed in a few more cutters to go along with the sinker. He's really started to mix it up.
He had retired 9 of the last 10 he faced before Lamb's single to lead off this inning. Jake will stay put at first, and it's 2-2 on Yasmani Tomas.
Just blocked by Miggy that time, getting over on that breaking ball in the left-handed batter's box.
One more time, and the count is full now.
Both these catchers have had a workout behind the plate tonight.
Yeah. Everybody, this game's going to leave everyone exhausted. Stella at third. Zobers for one. They roll the double play. Two down now for Chris Owings. John Lackey still not quite at 80 pitches here through 5 2/3. 79 pitches, 57 strikes. Theo digs that one up and into the seats. And Lackey is in his age 37 season, but he says he feels better now than when he was 30. Had a broken elbow for 2 years. Trying to grind through that. That was no fun. Missed a season. But now that he's getting up there in his golden years, he's a workhorse. He threw more than 200 innings last season in St. Louis for the first time in 5 years. Didn't seem to wear him down at all. Last October, he made 2 starts for the Cardinals against the Cubs in the National League Division Series. Went 1-0 and struck out 10 in 10 innings. So he was at his best of the postseason. And at 37 can still bring it up there. Low to mid 90s.
The thing about pitchers is that it seems like the older they get, what they lose in velocity, they gain in knowledge of how to set up hitters, how to get hitters out, how to let hitters get themselves out. Yeah, Lackey may not throw as hard as he once did, but he knows what to do with what he has.
Behind on CO. 3-1 now. When spring training opened up in Mesa this year, Joe Madden went up to Lackey and he said on the first day, I went up there and said, God, Johnny, I've been watching you the last couple of years. You're just getting better. Of course, Madden was in Anaheim when Lackey was there. Hayward. So a leadoff single is erased. The double play ball and the fly ball out. Complete 6 innings. Diamondbacks trail at 9-6 and issued 7 walks. But Kyle Drabek appears to be settling in. He's retired the last 4 he's faced, coming off a 1-2-3-6. Then Addison Russell leads off the 7th. Look out!
Look out! Look out!
That one almost hit Baxter. Yes. Boy, all right, easy. It's already been a rough and tumble game. We got 3 more against these guys, Baxter. He just doesn't have the strength.
Whew. And the screens here at Chase Field have been extended farther down the first and third base line. That one was way down there above the dugout, though.
Baxter's keeping that bat. Oh, he's going to find a fan. There you go. Nice job, Baxter.
Nice.
Outstanding. 0-2 now.
What a cutie.
This giant cat just handed me a bat.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do with this? Easy, Baxter. There was some concern when that bat landed over there near Baxter and that young lady that perhaps she had been hit. I think maybe she just got scared a little bit when Baxter was rolling around in the aisle there.
Yeah. 1-2 on Addison Russell, who is leading off the Cubs inning for the 3rd straight at bat here, as Miguel Montero has gone 0 for 4. Russell had a 2-run single in the second, doubled and scored in the fourth, struck out his last time up against Draybeck to open up the fifth, and now the first man up here in the seventh. D-backs bullpen quiet. Pitcher spot will lead off the home half of the seventh. Three and two. Well, that's the fourth walk issued tonight by Kyle Draybeck in his D-back debut. And that's going to end John Lackey's night. You mentioned former Villanova great Matt Caesar, the Villanova football player. He will hit for Lackey. He had 3 hits in the Cubs' 2 games at Anaheim, including that home run. So Lackey's night ends here. That's Caesar, S-Z-C-Z-U-R.
What a name for Scrabble.
Triple word score. This is a guy who makes contact, has some power, runs very well, a very good fourth outfielder type. Matt Caesar, a 2-sport star in college at Villanova. There you go. Football and baseball. He was a wide receiver at Villanova and was a good one, a consensus first-team All-American, and played on the team that won the 2009 national championship at that level, 1AA or whatever they call it now, BCB, BCS. And Caesar said he felt like financially he actually would have been able to get paid playing either sport professionally, but thought, yeah, if I play baseball, I might not die.
Yeah.
So I'll do that. I'll be healthy longer.
Might be able to enjoy the grandkids.
Yeah. He also ran track at Villanova, so he's got very good speed.
And if I'm not mistaken, errant throw over to first. Fortunately, might have hit the runner right there, stayed right next to Goldie. I think Caesar might be the only holdover from the Jim Hendry days in Chicago. Since Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer have come in, they have completely remade the entire organization from top to bottom. Very few guys left over.
He was a 5th-round pick in 2010 from Cape May, New Jersey originally. That one got in on the hands as he squared the bunt. How about Joe Madden? Well, Villanova won the national championship, so you're playing. And he goes in and hits a home run. That's the way Madden works. Bullpen busy again for the Diamondbacks. Andrew Chafin has started throwing down there now.
Well, with all these lefties in the lineup for the Cubs, you knew you were going to see Andrew Chafin at some point, certainly in this series, obviously maybe in this game.
Well, Kyle Draybeck has already walked 4 in 2+ innings, and he's gone full 3 and 2 here on Matt Caesar. Russell takes off, got a good jump. That's fouled away. Addison Russell, boy, he's just 22 years old. What a future he has. Gary Jones coaching down there at third. Anthony Rizzo says Russell is his favorite player to watch. Long hold there. Russell takes off again. Rizzo says, you know, everything Russell does, the way he moves, the way he handles himself, he's in a perfect situation right now at the age of 22 to hit lower in the lineup. Just go out and play and not worry about anything. They got plenty of offense around him. He's got a bright future.
Well, it tells you about his talents and his abilities when they moved Starlin Castro, who was nothing but a hit machine, from shortstop to second base to make room for Addison Russell.
Russell, there he goes again. Base hit for Caesar. He knocks it into left. Russell will take third. No throw from Tomas. A walk and a single open up the Cubs' seventh. Comes Mike Butcher. Nope, it's Chip Hale. That might be it for Drabek.
Now, Russell had been on the move the 2 pitches before, and this time able to advance first to third as that ball rolled through the left side. I think that's a wise choice out there by Yasmani Tomas. Runner was on the move, very little chance of throwing him out of third, and with Caesar's speed he would have ended up on second.
Andrew Chafin on his way in. Diamondbacks trail at 9-6. Cubs have runners on the corners and nobody out, up 9-6.
You see the 2 runs that Chafin gave up. He walked Charlie Blackmon, gave up a single to Carlos Gonzalez, was taken out of the game in favor of Silvino Bracho, who promptly gave up a 3-run homer. So the 2 runs were counted to Andrew Chafin, but he was sitting in the dugout when they scored.
Russell is the runner at third, Caesar at first. They'll flip Fowler around, the switch hitter, now batting from the right hand side, where he hit .326 last year. Gets it down. Chafin. Russell coming home. And he got no play anywhere. There was no one at first base. And it's 10-6 Cubs. Goldie came in when he saw the bunt. Chafin had it and just had to eat it.
Safety squeeze from the Cubs this time. Yeah, just Chafin made the decision that they weren't going to get the out at home plate. I'm just going to take the easy out at first. Segura was slow getting over there. Cubs have him at first and second with nobody out and a run in.
That's a single and an RBI for Dexter Fowler.
Need 2 more, boys. This inning.
And now the left-hand hitting Jason Hayward steps in. Hayward has singled, scored a run, and walked twice. He's 1 for 2. Now 10 hits for the Cubs. Sky high over the mound. Lamb coming in. Goldie's there. It'll be Jake Lamb right on top of the rubber.
That was dangerous. That ball was so high in the air. Any one of the Diamondbacks infielders probably could have made the play. Fortunately, good communication there. Jake Lamb coming in from his third base position. Goldie from first. Nick Ahmed from short. Andrew Chafin just gets out of the way.
How about Gene Segura making a real hustle play to get over there at third? Half the team's over there. They all noticed the third base was left unoccupied. The runners at first and second. So that's 1 out in the 7th. Still 2 on. Zobrist now. He has walked 3 times and popped up.
What a difference it makes having a couple of switch hitters in your everyday lineup, especially guys that hit at the top of the batting order in Fowler and now Ben Zobrist. This game started with an onslaught of left-handed hitters, and now that Chip Hale has gone to the lefty out of the bullpen, it staggered back and forth, right left, right left, right left, right down the lineup.
There's a strike.
Got to be alert defensively. Just because the ball's not hit to you doesn't mean you don't have anything to do. Gene Segura quickly realizes. Andrew Chafin realizes. Nick Ahmed ended up over there. Wellington Castillo was at third.
Boy, Segura just in a dead run from his second base spot to get over there. That's a nice job. 1-1 on Zobrist. Yeah, you mentioned the lineups. Joe Madden, I mean, he's a lineup freak. He loves moving guys around all the time, trying to anticipate bullpen matchups late in games. He kind of reverse engineers his lineup from back to front. But he loves the idea of Zobrist being a switch hitter, hitting in the middle of that lineup somewhere, maybe third, sometimes fifth, creating problems for opposing managers. So he loves this guy right in the middle somewhere.
And his approach from the right side of the plate looks almost identical to his approach from the left side as far as stirring up that cake batter. Does the same thing from this side of the plate. That's a little unusual. Usually there's a slight difference from one side of the plate to the other.
Well, he says Zobrist is such a good contact guy that he can really extend rallies. Chops at this one, pops it up. Peralta near the line. Caesar will bluff and hold. 2 outs. And they'll deal with Rizzo. Rizzo's been hit by a pitch. He scored a run. Had an RBI single. Had a 2-run triple and scored a run. And struck out his last time up. Caesar at second, Fowler at first. 2 outs.
Rizzo a little more likely to go to the opposite field against a left-handed pitcher, especially a guy that throws breaking balls away.
Rizzo handled himself very well against left-hand pitching. He hit .294 versus lefties last year, including 6 home runs. Inside that time it missed. 2-0. Just the start of what promises to be a wild 4-game series. Same 2 tomorrow. Robbie Ray and Jason Hamill. Saturday, Zach Greinke and Kyle Hendricks, and a good one Sunday, Shelby Miller versus Cy Young winner Jake Arrieta. (3-0). Ryan on deck. Well, Chafin went to 3 balls on Zobrist, got him to fly out. We'll see how he does with Anthony Rizzo.
And you know Anthony Rizzo has the green light on this 3-0 pitch if it's to his liking.
Missed inside. The bases are loaded with 2 down for Chris Bryant. Bryant doubled and scored in the second, an RBI single in the fourth. Caesar's at third, Fowler's at second, and Rizzo at first. Nine walks issued by Diamondbacks pitchers tonight. 9. He did not go, says Gary Cedarstrom, the crew chief down at first. Kyle Drabek walked 3 in a row with 2 outs in the 5th, but struck out Rizzo to get out of a jam there. Out of play.
Andrew really needs to be careful with that breaking ball, that slider that goes down and in. You have to pitch Chris Bryant almost like a traditional lefty. Lefties like the ball down. And Bryant is the same kind of a guy. That breaking ball that ends up in that down and in location, very dangerous.
Yeah, Bryant will spread his stance, drive that back knee down to the ground, get that bat path below the pitch no matter how low it is. And despite that size, he gets down there and digs it out with tremendous power. That's in there for a strike. 2-2. Adrian Johnson behind the plate.
One of the red seams caught the edge of the black.
Take every seam we can get against these guys at this point. 2-2. Andrew Chafin strikes him out. And the Cubs leave the bases loaded, but they get one more. And they lead the Diamondbacks. What's next? Brought to you by Century and Gene Segura, already with 2 home runs tonight. Gap in left center field on which Kyle Schwarber and Dexter Fowler collided. Segura ran all the way around the bases for an inside the park home run after hitting the first pitch of the ball game out for a conventional homer. And Schwarber had to be carted off the field with an ankle injury. And Pedro Strop is the new pitcher for the Cubs. Brandon Drury will hit for Andrew Chafin with Segura on deck. Defensive changes behind Pedro Strop. Matt Caesar is the new left fielder. Chris Bryant, who started the game at third, then went out to left when Schwarber was injured, is now back at third base.
You really have to give a lot of credit to John Lackey the way he settled in this ball game. In the first 3 innings, he gave up 6 runs on 6 hits through 50 pitches. The next 3 innings, he didn't allow a run, gave up only 2 hits and threw 34 pitches.
He retired Lackey 11 of the final 13 batters he faced as Strop rings up Drury.
You watch Pedro Strop. He's one of those guys, as we take a look at Gene Segura.
It's the Gig Life high-speed highlights presented by Cox. First pitch that John Lackey throws as a Cub. Segura a leadoff homer. And then there, Schwarber collides badly with Fowler. And he races around the bases. You can buy that baseball right there, right now for $300. An inside the park home run. The Gig Life high-speed highlights. Boy, those were ever high-speed highlights, brought to you by Cox.
Boy, as a hitter, you better be ready with Pedro Strop on the mound. Number one, he throws extremely hard.
Up and in.
But he'll give you that very abbreviated windup where he almost just steps toward home plate and throws the ball. Other times he'll give you the full windmill windup. Got to be ready. Kind of like LaTroy Hawkins used to quick pitch.
The Hawk.
Occasionally.
Strop did not allow a base runner in 5 Cactus League outings. He had a very good spring. Last season, 76 appearances, a career high, a 2.91 ERA. Led all Cubs relievers in games pitched, strikeouts, opponent batting average. Segura still alive. Miggy's got to find it, and he completes the strikeout. Well, here's Nick Ahmed, who was red hot, 6 hits and 11 at bats, including a double and a home run. Batting ninth, but tonight moved up to the 2 hole, and he's 0 for 3. Chip Hale not liking the way Ruby De La Rosa handles the bat. Did not want to hit Ruby 8th tonight, so he put Owings, the center fielder, in the 8 hole, and Nick Ahmed moved up to 2. And we saw Nick bat sometimes last year in the leadoff spot, but that was just against left-hand pitching. So a different look tonight for Chip Hale's Diamondback lineup. They've been out hit 10-8. They trail at 10-6. Heard a lot of talk about Nick Ahmed's 2-strike approach. We'll see it right here, the way he shortens up his swing and just tries to knock the ball to right center field. It's really helped his overall game up there. And that's one of the things that Chip Hale talked about actually before the ball game today. And when last September was really swinging the bat well. He hit over 330 last September. He was hitting left-hand pitching. That 2-strike approach really helped him overall with right-handers as well, and that has carried over into this year. On that one, but hits it right to Bryant. So Pedro Strop comes in, a 1-2-3-7. Diamondbacks trail the Cubs 10-6. Little Delgado. Randall worked 1 inning yesterday afternoon against the Rockies through 12 pitches. And Pedro Strop, the pitcher spot is now 6th in the Cubs order. Will take the at bat. Right to Golden. 1 pitch, 1 out for Randall.
It used to drive me crazy.
What's that?
You got a relief pitcher. Pedro Strop will probably get about, I don't know, 2 at bats this year. And he goes to the plate, swings at the very first pitch he sees. His chances of getting a hit are nil. Try to see as many pitches as you can.
High fives all around,
yeah.
Apparently.
Nice job.
Miguel Montero. Miggy 0 for 4. He has ended 3 innings for the Cubs. It has not tonight been Miggy time.
No, let's hope it stays that way for another 3 days after tonight.
I never did get my watch set to Miggy time.
Well, every time you got it set, it was time to spring ahead or fall back.
Yeah,
so
see,
it's never on time.
What time zone is it in Miggy time? I don't. Drives this one to Chris Owings in center. Tell you what, CO has not batted an eyelash out there in center field. He's had some balls hit right at him. He's had a couple of balls yesterday go over his head back to the wall. He made plays on both of them. I mean, he's not Willie Mays out there just yet, but he looks just fine.
He looks very comfortable. He hasn't been overmatched by anything. We talk about the line you take to get to the ball. He goes straight to the spot he needs to be. He's not running any S patterns out there in the outfield.
Addison Russell. Dave McKay coaching him up. Responsible for the outfield defenders on the Diamondbacks. The positioning, the coaching. And on the hands, he popped him up. Goldie in fair territory. Delgado comes in, a 1-2-3-8. Diamondbacks running out of time here. They trail at 10-6. Guys, Brandon Webb, Jody Jackson, Diamondback Live postgame show following our ball game. See the dude on the right there. He's got that new D-back Evolution jersey. If you go to dbacks.com/auction, right on the website there, you can still bid on one of the actual game-worn jerseys from opening night. The first ever games in the new Evolution jerseys that the players wore on opening night against the Rockies are up for bid right now. dbacks.com/auctions as Goldie leads off the 8th against Stroh. And the bidding is open up until Sunday, and they are raffling off, or auctioning off I should say, all those game-worn jerseys by the players, the actual jerseys. All the benefits go to the Arizona Diamondbacks Foundation, benefiting D-Backs Give Back Foundation. Authentic Diamondbacks memorabilia from that opening night game against the Rockies. I'm looking at some of the bids here. Some of the jerseys are going between as low as about $200, $250 as Stroh rings up Goldie. The Greinke jersey right now, the winning bid is sitting at $1,210. Wow. But you can get a Daniel Hudson jersey, $200. Chris Owings, $310. David Peralta, $310. All the money goes to the Arizona Diamondback Foundation. So the bidding is open, fans, until Sunday at dbacks.com/auctions. As Pedro Stroh will go in and maybe place a bid. Who knows? Pitching change back after this. In to face David Peralta. David has 3 hits, 2 doubles, and a triple. He has scored twice. Travis Wood now in his 5th season with the Cubs. That means he and Anthony Rizzo are the longest tenured Cubs on the roster right now, the left-hander. And in what looked like it would be a wild ball game, Diamondbacks got 3 runs in the first, 1 in the second, and 2 more in the third. But since that 3rd inning, the Diamondbacks have had just 2 hits. And one of them was Peralta's double in the 5th. The numbers on Wood last year. A 1-out walk, looking for base runners, down 10-6. And here comes Wellington Castillo. Just the 2nd walk issued by Cubs pitchers. Welly is 0 for 3. One lone voice in the darkness with a flashing cell phone light. Whenever there's rocky seas, you look out to shore for that one light.
The one light.
There it is. He's trying to get it started all by himself.
It's like the slow clap.
It's got to start someplace. Doesn't seem to be catching on, though.
Partner, we were talking earlier in the ball game about getting length out of your bullpen, and the Diamondbacks, the way they're configured right now, Kyle Drabeck's that guy. You see it's raining a little bit outside. Randall Delgado, another guy for the D-backs that can give you some length, but the Cubs are loaded with guys down there that have been former starting pitchers. Travis Wood included, Clayton Richard, former D-back Trevor Cahill.
Yeah, they love having different ways to use Cahill, especially. He was really good for them down the stretch. Here's Trevor, the former Diamondback. You can do a little bit of everything for him. I think Cahill, I believe, had a chance to go to Pittsburgh, where they are really big on reclamation projects. They're doing that this year with Juan Nicasio, but he wanted to stay with the Cubs. He had so much fun last year as sort of this ambiguous guy, probably in the bullpen, but the Pirates said, hey, come in here and be a starter. He said, no, I'm going to stay here. Castillo strikes out.
Travis Wood has made a career out of finessing his way through a lineup. Very careful with right-handed hitters. He'll show him a fastball inside off the plate and then try to get him out with off-speed stuff away. Good changeup that time. Punches out Wellington Castillo.
Jake Lamb's had a good night. 2 singles and an RBI sac flies. Knocked in 3. Drives it to Fowler in center. Coming in. And he's got it. They strand the 1-out walk. 9th inning on the way. Diamondbacks down 4. Second year in a row, the youngest team in the major leagues. How would they match up with a team that was a postseason club last year and is a big popular favorite this season? And so far the results are very much mixed, I think, as Matt Caesar leads it off. I mean, the Diamondbacks have issued 9 walks. Their starter Ruby De La Rosa lasted just 3 1/3, and they've had only 2 base hits since the 3rd inning. And so if you're looking for a litmus test game, you're not jumping up and down right now.
Might want to come back tomorrow.
Yeah. And they got off to a tremendous start. Got 3 in the bottom of the 1st. Segura hit the first pitch of the ball game for a home run. But they just weren't able to hold it. Weren't able to make the big outs when they needed them for the most part. And the Cubs do what the Cubs do. 10 runs on 10 hits. And it could have been worse. They've left 10 men on base. I do think, Bob, the D-backs tonight just looked a little tight.
Yeah, we mentioned it defensively early in the ball game. A couple of they'll go as physical mistakes, but certainly mental mistakes on the part of Wellington Castillo and Jake Lamb. Something we're just not used to seeing from this Diamondbacks as a ball club defensively. And when you see things that you're not used to seeing from a team, that usually means they're playing tight.
Because I think they know they're ready to contend. They know they're good enough to win this division. And they certainly know what everybody says about the Cubs this year. Two and 2 on Caesar. And the 3rd, that's a fair ball. Long throw for Jake, and he puts it right there. Nice play. So 4 up, 4 down for Randall Delgado.
Boy, nicely done. He had to unload that ball and make sure he got on top right here, straight over the top from Jake Lamb. Gets good carry just in time to get Caesar down there at first.
1 down for Dexter Fowler, who has tripled, walked, and singled. He's got 2 RBIs. Fowler had 5 hits and 8 at bats in their 2 wins in Anaheim. You can see why they wanted to bring him back after it looked like he was headed to Baltimore on a multi-year deal. But at the last moment appeared in Chicago holding a 1-year contract that he got from Theo Epstein. Long time it looked like they might go with Javier Baez in center field. They worked out Baez as a center fielder all through winter ball. He might be one option. Then they thought maybe Hayward would play center and move over from right. But at the last minute, Fowler got a contract, 1 year, $13 million. There's a mutual option for next season that comes with a $5 million buyout. So at worst, Fowler gets $18 million this year and then can hit the free agent market again next winter. So it made sense for him too.
There was a cross up on that last pitch. Wellington Castillo caught it kind of funny and then looked out to Randall Delgado on the mound. Randall called Wellington out just to make sure who was right and who was wrong on this pitch.
3-1. Missed inside. That makes 10 walks issued by D-backs pitchers.
Boy, that's unacceptable against a ball club that strikes out a lot.
Yeah.
fielder.
Jason Hayward now, who's walked twice, singled and scored a run. Blasts it to center. Owens plays it on the hop. Fowler flies into third. Hayward aboard for the 4th time tonight.
That soft line drive into center field. Chris Owings plays a little deeper than most center fielders you see in the major leagues, and understandably so. Right now he's more comfortable coming in than going back. And when that ball drops in front, Fowler advances all the way from first to third.
So with 1 out, a walk and a single have put runners in the corners for Ben Zobrist, who has walked 3 times and scored a run. He is 0 for 2. Don't forget it's been, I'm sorry, Bob, it's been a busy week for Randall. He threw 46 pitches Monday night against the Rockies and worked yesterday afternoon as well through 12 pitches.
Cubs are 6 for 19 with runners in scoring position. That means it's their 20th at bat of the ball game with a runner in scoring position.
10 walks will do that.
D-backs on the other hand 1 for 4.
Chicago has stranded 10. Diamondbacks have left 3. Two and one. That's a fair ball. Fowler will score. Hayward will stop at third. RBI double for Zobrist, and it's 11-6 Cubs.
First baseman Anthony Rizzo.
Elevated changeup up and out over the plate. There's a lot of bad pitches in this ball game. Out of the strike zone and occasionally in the strike zone. Balls that have been hit hard up and out over the plate.
And still some work to do here. Second and third, 1 out for Anthony Rizzo. Hit by a pitch, a single, a 2-run triple. He walked his last time up. Blasts it to right. And gone. 14-6 Cubs.
Gets underneath that ball, lifts it to right field.
Chris Bryant. Back-legged it.
Yes, he did.
A walk, a single, a double, and a homer, all with 1 out, have made it 14-6 Chicago. Mike Butcher. You're going to have another path to the mound. It's coming from the dugout the way Mike's been out there.
I remember we had a night similar to this back when I was managing, and the Cub fans were whooping and hollering. And post-game press conference, I said I wish they'd just all go back to Chicago. And a call from Mr. Jerry Colangelo the next day. We appreciate all fans. They buy tickets to come into the ballpark. We invite them all to come to our ballpark and watch a baseball game. Yes, sir.
That'll be all. Well, Cubs, as everybody knows here, has had a following the Valley for a long time since they've been coming out to train here.
Starting to get personal now for Anthony Rizzo against the Diamondbacks. His 6 RBI in the ball game tonight. The 3rd time he's done it in his career. 2nd time he's done it against the D-backs.
He had 10 RBIs in 6 games against Arizona last season. He had an RBI single, a 2-run triple, and a 3-run home run. He's a double away from an RBI cycle. Full count on Chris Bryant, still just 1 out. Pitcher spot is due up next. Jorge Soler is in the on-deck circle. Chris Owings plays it on a hop. It's a single for Bryant. A walk and 4 straight hits for the Cubs.
Pitch hitting for Travis Wood, number 68, Jorge Soler.
Jorge Soler. 3 strikeouts and 8 at bats in their series in Anaheim, both wins over the Angels. And we talked about this Cub lineup. They played 2 games in Anaheim and outscored the Angels 15-1. And now they lead this one 14-6. Soler, the Cuban native, just turned 24 years old this spring. Last year, 262. He had 10 homers. Right field for David Peralta. 2 down. Well, lost in all of this, all this Cub offense. 14 runs, 14 hits. Miguel Montero 0 for 5.
Team player. Somebody's got to make the outs.
He has struck out, grounded out 3 times, and flied out to center. Knocks it down on the backhand. Miggy a little slow out of the box there. They had plenty of time to record the out and end the inning. But the Cubs get 4 more. Bottom 9 coming up. They lead it 14-6. Anthony Rizzo, a 6 RBI night. And the new pitcher for the Cubs to close it out. It's the right-hander Hector Rondon. 72 appearances for Chicago last year, an outstanding 1.67 ERA. And Yasmani Tomas leads off the Arizona ninth. Tomas 0 for 3. Diamondback Live postgame show follows our ball game. Brandon Webb and Jody Jackson. And it'll be interesting to hear Chip Hale's comments, see how he picks his team up after this one. And after what is looking like a disappointing 1-3 start here.
You know, it always feels worse too at the beginning of a season. You know, you're going to grind away for the next 6 months playing this game nearly every day, and you're going to have the occasional stinker. But when it happens early in the season, especially after you just drop 2 out of 3 to a division rival in the Rockies, you know what's expected of the Cubs this year. You'd like to make a good showing, and it always seems magnified when you have one like this early in the season. If this happens in June or July or August, it's just another game. We'll be back tomorrow. But it's a little more of a psychological defeat early in the season.
Ricky Weeks with a helmet on, pitcher spot due up third in the inning. And we've talked about the importance, and you're right about that, it's all perspective, but there's no getting around the fact that it's a brutal April schedule. You just dropped 2 of 3 to a division rival. You got the Cubs in here for 3 more, and then a 10-game road trip, all in the NL West. LA, San Diego, San Francisco. So there's no break coming up here as Tomas strikes out for the 2nd time tonight. There's no cupcakes coming in here to give yourself a chance to sort it out. You got to do it against the best in the league.
Well, and the way you do that is have your guys at the top of the rotation go out and do what you expect them to do, which we all think that Zach Greinke and Shelby Miller and Patrick Corbin will go out there and put the zeros on the board necessary. We know the Diamondbacks have enough offense to score runs and win games. And we know that defensively this has been an outlier. This is not the usual Diamondbacks defense we're used to seeing. So yeah, I think once the starting pitching settles in a little bit, everything else will fall into place.
Well, they'll turn to Robbie Ray here tomorrow night in his 2016 debut. He's up against Jason Hamill. And then it's Zach Greinke Saturday, Shelby Miller Sunday. Diamondbacks are off Monday and then open up a long 10-game road trip on Tuesday with 3 at Dodger Stadium. That'll be the Dodgers home opener. Dodgers had a lead at San Francisco today. Giants came back and won big. 12-6 was the final that time. Here's Robbie Ray, who goes tomorrow. Zach Greinke Saturday. Meantime, you look at the Padres and Andy Green, who we think is terrific and will be a terrific manager. His first 3 games as a big league manager, his team is shut out at home. 3 games, his first 3 as a big league skipper. They don't score a single run.
Put the hit sign on.
His opening day starter Tyson Ross gave up, well, what, 15, 16 runs. They lost that opener as Owens strikes out. So there's always that. It could be worse.
Yeah.
Ricky Weeks Jr. now with 2 outs.
Number 5, Ricky Weeks.
He's persistent. I give it to him. Hanging in there, trying to start a trend. Doesn't seem to have a lot of followers tonight.
Battery must be running low. Ricky 1 for 3, all in a pinch hit roll so far this year. Rondon looking like he wants to strike out the side to put a period on this one. Fowler in center, drifting near the pool. That ball still carrying, but he's back there. And the Cubs take it 14-6. Diamondbacks get out hit 14-8. They committed 2 errors and issued 10 bases on balls.
All right. We'll grab a little bite to eat, wash this one off in the shower, and come back tomorrow and hope for better things behind Robbie Ray.
Robbie Ray and Jason Hamill, game 2 of the 4-game set tomorrow night. Friday night fireworks here at Chase Field. Plenty of fireworks tonight, mostly from the Chicago side. And here to talk about it on the Diamondback Live postgame show, it's Brandon Webb.